This is the Believe in MMA Mavericks podcast, featuring your hosts, Mike Straka and Ike Feldman.
Here we go. Yep.
What, you hear him?
I think so. Or was that Mad Lab farting?
Here we go.
There we go.
Sorry,
What's up, brother?
I'm sorry. I thought 110 meant 410. I confused it. I confused the times.
I can't believe you have a brick wall background in your house. That's impressive.
Oh, thank you. You can do that on Zoom. You know that, right?
No, I didn't.
You could do a brick. You can add green screen at them, but you can't do audio.
No. Here's what happened. I was doing I do a comedy show, a Zoom comedy show every night.
Nice.
Not every night, twice a week. And people just start yelling the biggest, "Fuck, you suck, blah, blah, blah." So I have to mute everybody as they come in. And then unmute them when I figure out if they're a decent audience member. And then it was the settings were muted. And then I got a baby I'm watching. All this.
Are you okay? She all right? Or he all right?
Yeah, she just spilled all her blocks, but it's okay. How
Sounds
are
like
you
she's
doing,
doing
man?
the dishes, man.
Well, listen, you don't have to stay on video if you don't want to. If you got to watch your daughter, we understand that. Just keep your audio on.
No, this is actually easier. This is better. Cool.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
I'm good. You're also on the line with Mad Lab from Elite Fantasy HQ. Mad Lab, say hello to Adam Hunter, otherwise known as MMA Roasted, one of the funniest guys.
Oh,
I
thanks,
know
man.
him very well. I follow his Twitter, man. You got a very, very funny stuff on there, bro.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Adam, you got to follow Mad Lab MMA when you get a chance, and when you look at him, you'll understand. He's a big motherfucker.
Sounds like it.
He looks like Francis Ngannou, but he's white.
Yeah.
Wow. Scary. I met Ngannou. He came to my show, and I was like, "Man, you've come a long way since being an Uber driver." I'm like, thank God he didn't speak English. But then afterwards, he put me in a headlock, and he invited me. And he sat with me at a show. He invited me to his a fight with him. Nicest guy ever, but scariest. I mean, normally you see a heavyweight, they're not ripped. They're not like 280, but like 4% body fat. Then you look at him, you're like, man, this is insane. Crazy.
Unbelievable. I'll never forget UFC 101 or 102 was in Philadelphia. Kenny Florian fought BJ Penn, and Joe Rogan was doing a show down there, a comedy show. So I took Frankie Edgar's dad, my dad, and Frankie Edgar's father-in-law, Jerry Nappy. So we're in there, and Joe Rogan made a joke. He goes, "Yeah, I just had a baby. I stapled it to the tree in my backyard." And everybody laughed. And Frankie's dad, Mr. Anise, his name is Frank Anise. He got up. He goes, Mikey, why would you take me to a show like this? This ain't funny. Guy stapling a baby to his back to a tree. And I'm like, it's a joke. He goes, "I'm leaving." He got up and left. And then Joe Rogan apologized to him the next day at the fight. He goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to offend you." He goes, "That ain't funny, Joe. Stapling a baby to a tree. That ain't funny."
Oh man, well, tell him not to come to my show.
I've been to a couple of your shows. Your shows are great, man. You know what my favorite part of your show is? When people heckle you and you just fucking destroy them.
Yeah, I mean it's funny, you have different strategies when it comes to heckling. Like it used to be I would just come at them, but then after a while, there's like rope-a-dope where they heckle and then you say, okay, yeah, blah blah blah, a little joke back, get the crowd on your side, and at the very end just pound him to death when he thinks he won. And then he's like, and then go, "Oh, thanks, good night, guys, everybody," and then the show's over. So
How's the times in the climate that we're in to make jokes? I mean, are you a Cali guy?
I'm a New York guy. I'm from Long Island.
Yeah.
But
What part, man? This is Ron Konkama speaking to you.
That's not really Long Island. That's like upstate Long Island.
It's blue collar, to put it nicely. That's how you say it.
I'm from Oceanside.
Oh, rich boy. Okay.
Rich, man. But yeah.
But anyway, the climate, man. How's it been for you?
Comedy. I mean, it depends. I mean, I definitely have gotten some people with making out comment cards at the end, like, "Oh, I didn't know this stuff shouldn't be allowed to be said," blah blah blah. But I'd say for the most part, because everything else is so PC, people can't wait to hear not PC at a comedy club. It's like the opposite effect. People like that. I got way more people thanking me of "Thanks for not conforming to this bullshit culture," So I would say it's the other way,
Awesome, awesome. And what do you, yeah, I've seen it more and more, man, with the Netflix specials. That's like how I follow
Yeah.
comedy. Like Dave Chappelle, Sticks and Stones, Tom Segura's latest one, man. We were supposed to get Dustin Poirier, but Straka screwed that up. I'll take some of the blame. I'll take some of the blame. But like, dude, Tom Segura like doubling and tripling down on the Louisiana people. It was like, damn, it's like I like that people they're being comedians in a comedy setting. It's like we can't get offended. Bill Burr, man.
Listen,
He's
hey
the best.
Ike, hey Ike,
Uh-oh. Here
let me
we
tell
go,
you
Adam.
something. Let me
Turn
tell
your
you
video
something.
on. Turn your video on. Let me tell you something.
Hold on a second. I'll turn my video on. The reason why Dustin Poirier like didn't come on a show is because he heard you talking about how hot his wife is and how she's like a #1 Google search. That's disrespectful to a guy from Louisiana.
Wow.
No, Adam,
Yeah,
to put it into perspective or context, I was saying, dude, if you Google Dustin Poirier, it says Dustin Poirier's wife. And I was saying, do you think that's a creepy virgin dude searching his wife, or do you think it's single women who find Dustin attractive who want to know if he's single?
It's definitely the first one. It's definitely definitely not single women. I don't know if there's been
Dude,
one
it's-
single woman that would even Google someone's wife. Like they don't even.
Dude, it's like if you Google Stipe Miocic's back tattoo, Riley Reid comes up.
Really?
No.
Oh. Anyway, I was like,
Let's all pretend we don't know who that is.
That's a real odd fact.
Who's that? Is she in the strawweight division?
Oh my God, I love Riley Reid.
To your
Oh
point
my
about though Netflix and Tom Segura, you know the good thing about podcasts are good and bad. Like the plus is Tom Segura does well enough on his podcast with his wife Christina Pazynski, and they have the whole thing where he doesn't care because his fans are going to check out his thing. They're going to support him no matter what. They're not going to get offended. They know what they're getting into. It's harder for other comics if they were going to do Tom Segura's type jokes that don't have a following, because sometimes comedy clubs or people might cave to be like, yeah, we can't put this on. It's just too much. So there's a double-edged sword. Like when you get to a point where you're like Steve-O can do whatever he wants because Steve-O's not going to make really new comedy fans. It's going to be his jackass fans coming out supporting him.
True.
You know?
Do you
So-
find yourself like, I mean, obviously you're like a black belt of comedy at this point, but do you find yourself ever like if you had too much to drink, if you didn't get enough sleep, like you go on stage and you say, fuck it, like I want to say whatever I feel like it, maybe a joke that I had written down that maybe I haven't brought up yet, but it's like you're feeling loose, you're feeling like a fuck it attitude. And you're
There
like,
are times where like I hate the crowd so much that like they're like, I'm like, oh, you guys don't like those jokes? Wait till you hear these jokes, you know?
oh, wow.
So it's sort of like that, which sometimes, but usually that's like an attempt to win them back over, and like if you really look into the psyche of thing, of like, but no, I mean, do I ever like tank a set? No, I mean, there have been times where I've like, I like shouldn't have went on stage early in my career. You know, I think maybe I like found out like my girlfriend, or I got a girl pregnant, and like I got back with my girlfriend, and the first girl was pregnant, and then my girl wasn't gonna leave me, and I had to get an abortion. It was like that, and maybe that was not the right time to go on stage a year into comedy. So
You're like, hey, everybody, Roe versus Wade.
I was more like, my life sucks. Why am I living? Fuck this. You know, and it was
Jeez.
just not really comedy. You know, I think a lot of times I fell into bad habits of watching experts do it and thinking that I can do it a certain way, but that just comes from like, you know, now I'm 21 years into the game, and I go, oh shit, you know, that was probably the wrong move to make at that point. But there's really no way of learning that unless you do it.
You know what? I've always been curious about you, Adam. How did you start like roasting MMA fighters? Like, what was the inspiration for that?
I'm gonna answer that question. My kid's locked himself in the bathroom. Hold on.
Okay. Hey, Mad Lab.
What's
You
going
just
on?
ran through the brick wall.
Mad Lab, I'm curious. What did you have for Easter?
Oh, dude, I had pizza gain. I had meatball sausage. What else did I have? I had wheat pie. I had rice pie.
Damn.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I love rice pie.
How much do you weigh, Mad Lab?
Let me just answer this question. I forgot.
Right
Wait,
now, I don't know. I'll actually go step
231.
on the scale
231.
Right now. 231. Come on now.
Come on, he's like 278.
Well, I don't
No,
know how
not
tall
that
he
much.
is.
Oh, I'm gonna step on it right now.
yeah, he was just waiting for that question.
I am 258 right now.
I was only 20 pounds off. I used to got the 8 right.
Yeah.
I got the 2 and the 8 right. Dude,
258.
I'll never forget. You know that video of me spar with Frankie Edgar?
Yo, Mad Lab, you gotta Google it.
So anyway, I'm a fat fuck in that video, man. So I'm like, I wrestled 118 in college, and I fought 135 in Taekwondo. So by the time I sparred with Frank Yeager, I weighed about 181, and I was like, I sucked myself into this tap out rash guard, and I was like trying to suck in my gut. That's why I had no win to fight Frankie, because I was more worried about sucking in my gut than actually fighting.
Holy
So
shit. You had a good frame though, man. You had the shoulders and the chest in that video.
So Frankie goes, Straka, how much do you weigh? I go, 175. He goes, bullshit, get on the scale. I'm like, no. I'm like, get on the scale. I must have weighed about 181, 182. Oh man, I had like a minute and a half in me. That's one thing about fighting. Hey, Mad Lab, how many minutes do you have left in you if you got into a fight?
I'm pretty good, man. Just for the mere fact that I'm still active. I mean, my diet's pretty. I mean, listen, I can't hang with a 155 or a 170 guy, but I mean, for my size, I mean, my stamina's pretty good. I mean, I eat well. I do cardio. I still train.
Right, that's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. I asked you
how many
minutes do you have? Yeah, a full-fledged fight, like a full-out fighting somebody. How many minutes do you think you could last?
In a street fight?
I don't care. Any fight in a gym.
Oh, I don't know. I could probably, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think you can make a round.
5 minutes. That's
I
I
could
can't
definitely
make.
make a round.
I can't make a round. I could do 2 minutes. Adam, how many can you do?
Depends on how I'm doing the fight. Like if I just wrestle the guy and hold him down forever, I could either do 5 minutes, or if I just stand up and then stay away. But if I have to scramble, forget about it. Like if there's scrambling involved, not good.
Have you gotten the chance to like grapple with some professionals?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was
asking.
I was training with Mike Pyle.
Nice.
I mean, I was not training. He was coaching me, because I wrestled in high school and college, for a little bit in college, and then I went like 8 rounds of just hitting, light sparring. But he wasn't even like I wasn't. We were both going light sparring.
Was that extreme couture
At Syndicate?
Okay. Oh, he's with Mike Wood now, right?
Yeah, John Wood.
John Wood. Sorry. Yeah.
So then at the end, Roxanne Modafari came in for a round, but not even telling me. And I was like, so I turn around. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like I'm drenched. I just did like 10 rounds with Pyle. So I just was like, all right. I just took her down to double leg and just held her for 4 minutes, and then they stood us back up. And then I just like hip tossed her and held her again. So like, granted, like that, but it was a big glove. Like I could probably do that against a 125-pound female, maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not in the best shape. Your question about how I started MMA fighters, roasting them. What happened was I was opening up for this guy John Heffron, who was a comic. He won Last Comic Standing, and he got hired to do the MMA awards, to host it. So he hired me to be like one of his writers. So we wrote a bunch of sketches that kind of went viral, like the Dear Vandy sketch. We had Vanderlei Silva as like a therapist, and Randy Couture, divorce attorney, because at that point Randy was like divorced.
He was divorcing Kimmy. Yeah. He was divorcing Kimmy Couture at the time.
Right. So then they kind of went viral, and I ran into Dana White at a casino, and we talked for like a half hour. So then me and hey, you're laughing? All right. So then me and Dana
She's adorable. What's her name?
Name is Violet.
Hey, Violet.
Then me and Dana became friends, and then I went in to pitch a show to Dana called the So You Think You're a Tough Guy show, the one that me and you were about to pitch.
That's right.
And they were like, we're gonna pass on the show, but we want to do like a Tosh.0 show where you roast fighters. And so they hired me. The UFC hired me to like make videos where I make fun of fighters, which was like, they were like, but don't say you work for us. Well, that's not what they said, but that's what my other boss said.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very safe job. I have to make fun of fighters independently.
Yeah.
I had all these extra jokes. So I'm like, I hate fucking getting rid of jokes. Like I joke is like a baby. It's like you spend all this time writing it and you're like, I hate just throwing it. So I started an MMA roasted account and noticed that like it just caught fire. So that became like, I had a podcast at the time, and Fox Sports was getting into fighting because UFC had a Fox Sports deal. So then they hired me as a writer to write this thing called Text from Last Fight, where I'd pretend I was fighters texting each other during fights. and then that blew up. And then I stayed on the MMA awards. So I wrote like the All About the Cake video. Daniel Cormier is dancing. I'm all about that cake and chicken. And then I wrote like this Ben Askren, like Hello from the Askren side. And I wrote all these songs for fighters. Like I had Uriah Faber as like making fun of his butt chin. And I had one with Phil Davis and this and that. So like the one I did this year was I'm gonna take my gloves to the octagon with Randy Couture and Tyron Woodley. So I started writing all these sketches for the awards, and then Bellator hired hired
PFL.
Well, first was Bellator. They hired me to write a sketch, the history of Fedor's sweater, and I wrote that. That kind of went viral. And then I work for the PFL. So that's kind of how it all kind of went down.
Dude, that's awesome. That's like hardcore, like inside MMA jokes. And I feel like that's the bridge between like hardcore MMA media, the ones that are the sticklers with the notepads and everything and the quote grabbers, and these hardcore fighters. It's like that comedy is the bridge. Is there a fighter that you pissed off for doing any of this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the beginning, because people thought I was like a legit news source. So like when like Mayhem Miller was like was making the church, I put like Nick Diaz thinks that Mayhem should stay off drugs, and Nick Diaz is like, I didn't say shit, man. Like, and then so he got kind of mad at that. John Jones blocked me because he kept popping for cocaine. I said he had no idea. He got popped for steroids, and I said he had no idea there was steroids in his cocaine. And then he got mad at that. And then Bisping and I started off on a bad foot because somebody said like punching power is God-given, which explains why Bisping's an atheist. So like, so he got mad, but then we made up. Now we're like good friends.
Michael's I love Michael. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, no one really got mad. Some people got mad at me for not roasting him. Like I remember Kevin Randleman kept saying like, what the fuck? What am I not good enough to get roasted?
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
So finally he kept texting me like, when are you gonna roast me? So I had a contest, like whoever come up with the best Randleman joke, and I was giving away like I don't know, Tank Abbott sign something. And then all of a sudden the whole internet was like, everyone that followed me was like, Kevin Randleman, you know, something about Tito or Jenna Jameson's vagina. He did more roids than this. And then he calls me up. He's like, tap, tap, tap. He's like, I'm sorry. I'll never have you roast me again. Like, and then me and Kevin became good friends after that. So, I mean, no one really got mad as in like threats, you know. I think Forrest Griffin came to my show to heckle me and then liked it. So like me and Forrest are friends. He blocked me on my one account, but we're friends on the other account. So,
we had Forrest on the show last week. You know, that reminds me of, never mind. I forgot what I was going to say.
Brittany Palmer got mad at me. Brittany Palmer got really mad. She said, because I said more fighters pulled out of UFC whatever than Brittany Palmer. And,
hey, I was at Brittany Palmer's wedding.
Really? But then we made up. It came on the podcast, so that was cool.
Oh boy. What's your thoughts on this whole quarantine and UFC, and now Florida went from the casino resorts in Cali, now maybe Florida May 9th. What's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that I have not met one fighter that doesn't want to fight right now. Okay. And if anybody don't want to fight, they don't have to fight. So if these guys want to go to work, they should be allowed to go to work. You know, I mean, these are the healthiest people. I mean, supposedly the healthiest. You talk people in their prime who work out every day, and this is not who the disease is mostly affecting. It is affecting some people that are younger, you know, but like if you want to go on, it seems to be older people and people with, you know, pre-existing conditions. That being said, like, look, if I was married to a fighter or something and then they went to work, would I want them in my house with a kid? No. Right. So it's also, I think, should also who they're around. But if they go fight and then they quarantine themselves and people around them know the risk too, then it's like up to them, you know? I think that's what I think.
Well, Hodger Gracie just had it. Did you read that?
No, I didn't read that.
Hodger Gracie came down with the coronavirus, and he said he was in great shape and healthy and training every day. And he said it was the worst flu he ever had, and he couldn't get out of bed for like 2 days. And then he said the third day it got better, and then the fourth day it got even worse. Wow. Yeah. And then he went to the hospital, and he said he called an ambulance, and he got diagnosed with the coronavirus. I don't know how he's doing right now, but that's just what I read yesterday or this morning.
I mean, I could see both sides to it. Like, I could see both sides, and like,
Same.
I don't know. There's not really a need to do it. I mean, it's not like an essential job. It's really not. You know, I understand people are going to be inspired and they're going to be entertained, but is anyone going to die if the UFC doesn't have, and if anybody's going to die if they do? Yes. So that's maybe, or it could be. So if you look at it that way, the responsible answer is no, they shouldn't have it. But the other answer of like, well, it's their choice, right? I mean, I don't have the fucking answers, man.
My whole thing is all or nothing. Like, if WWE's doing it in their facility and Bob Arum, the great boxing promoter and CEO of Top Rank, wants to do it in the WWE facility, and if Dana White wants to do it there, like, if WWE's doing it, boxing and UFC can do it, in my opinion. If
it'd be a bad idea to all do it in one facility, though, because doesn't that like up the chances of like if one person gets sick, now everyone's in that facility, so you just wiped out wrestling, boxing.
Go to a high school gym, though. I guess everything's different in Florida.
Yeah.
The thing is, Adam, you and I, and I'm sure Matt Lab and Ike, we've been around the sport for a while, and like you said, you were friends with Dana White. You're friends with Mike Pyle. These are our friends. Like, I don't want to see my friends can't make a living.
Yeah.
Because they're not on salary. They don't have like, a lot of guys are just struggling to get by. I don't care how much. I don't care if you make $100,000 for a fight. You're spending that money. You're always struggling in this country, man. It's never enough, man. It's never enough. The more you make, the more you spend. And we all do. We're all guilty of it. Mad Lab, you're guilty of it. You're a multimillionaire.
I wish I was. But if I was, I wouldn't be, because I would spend it too.
Yeah.
On red sauce.
On red sauce, pizza game, prosciutto di Parma, and Italian bread.
So Adam,
guys are still training though. A lot of guys that I talked to are still training, to be honest.
At their gym, or are they doing the who said Jane Fonda workouts earlier? Somebody said that. Are they?
No, at their gym. I'm talking to these guys. I don't know. I would think if I was losing a fight, though, I would just start coughing, and like,
Hey, Adam, I want to know the operative word here. You said you trained with Mike Powell the other day. Does he still have a mullet?
He still has a mullet. He's in great shape, and he's a great trainer. He's doing a lot of stunt work. Yeah, he's a real smart guy. He's not one of these guys. He didn't blow all his money. He had like a fishing company. He sold that. He's in a lot of movies and stuff. Yeah, Mike Pyle's a good dude.
I saw Mike in a film the other day. I forgot what movie it was. I've watched so many movies in the last 2 weeks and I've been quarantined. But one of my favorite moments, and I'm not saying my favorite because he choked out one of my friends, Ricardo Almeida. My favorite thing about that, when he choked out Ricardo Almeida, he said, I choked him out with an illegal wrestling front headlock. He goes, they would have blew the whistle in wrestling, but it's legal in MMA. He goes, that's all I did. I did a front, because Ricardo shot, he sprawled, did a front headlock, and he did an illegal front headlock, and he choked him out. And actually, remember that fight? Ricardo went unconscious.
Didn't Matt Hughes do that to him also?
Yeah, that sounds familiar too.
Yeah. Oh wait, maybe it was Matt Hughes.
I think it was Matt Hughes.
Wrong
you're
white
right.
guy, Mike. Wrong white guy.
Oh, no,
right.
Pyle did beat Arona. No, Pyle did beat him. But not
He did beat Almeida, right.
Yeah, but I don't think he beat him with that hold.
Oh, but you're right. That was Matt Hughes. You're right. I got confused. I stand corrected.
Dude, Adam, is it true that obviously Mike Pyle is an amazing UFC fighter and Fight Night bonuses, but in the gym he was just like wrecking everybody, just laying them out, knocking them out?
I mean, everyone said in the gym he would beat everybody. He was like he was like, unfortunately, kind of one of those guys that if he fought the way in the gym he did in the octagon, he would have won a lot of fights that he didn't win. And then there's like the reverse where like everyone says like Kelvin Gastelum in the gym, and I joke with them. I'm like, is it true that like women off the street come in and can beat you 10-7 in the gym? Like people say that like in the gym everyone kills Kelvin Gastelum, but when it's fight time he turns it on.
He's another guy who's as sweet as pie. Like, he's a nice guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And he goes in the octagon, he just fucking destroys people. He's
sweet as pie, and he's also eating pie as we speak. Yeah, no, he's a guy that like, he's always like, roast me. He doesn't care. I make so many fat jokes about him, how like he sits on his corner and asks for a menu in between rounds. And like his corner yells out more combos. And he's like, I'll have a Whopper and fries. Like but he's a great sport. He doesn't give a fuck. Those are actually the harder guys to roast. The guys that like laugh along with it. It's because it's like funny, but you can tell they're laughing along with it, so people aren't laughing as hard. It's the guys that look like Tito Ortiz that you could tell get annoyed by the joke. That it's fun to make fun of because you could tell he's like, oh God, you know.
That's what I was gonna say. Tito Ortiz hated my guts, right? I don't even know why. I think I interviewed him once and he didn't like my questions. And every time I saw him, he'd be like, get the fuck away from me, Straka. Get away from me. So when he married Jenna Jameson, I had done a really big piece on Fox News Channel about Jenna Jameson when she wrote a book called How to Be a Porn Star. And I was walking around the UFC. This is back in the day. This is back in probably 2008, maybe 2006. And I had full reign. I could walk around the octagon with my camera guy. I could do whatever I wanted. And I saw Tito and Jenna. They were sitting, next to Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell, right in the VIP area. And I go, hey, Jenna, how are you? And she goes, Mike. She gets up. She gives me a big hug. And Tito goes, how the fuck do you know him? And she goes, remember the Fox News piece I did? The one that I showed you? And he looked at me. He goes, he did that? And she goes, yeah, that's the guy who interviewed me on Fox News. And it was a big piece for her. And Tito goes, oh, I didn't know that was you. And I was like, fuck you, Tito, you little twat.
Yeah.
You should have a Lions Den shirt on. Really piss him off.
Yeah, exactly. I can't have a Lions Den shirt on because fucking Ken Shamrock, he hates me too.
Really? That's what I was going to ask you. I can't even imagine him taking you roasting him as a joke. Ken Shamrock took everything seriously.
Yeah, Ken sort of like he's a strange guy because like on one hand he's like super respected. I mean, he's obviously like the godfather of mixed martial arts. I mean, he's just the most dangerous man. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure he threw a bunch of fights. Like, I'm pretty sure that Kimbo Slice fight.
No doubt.
What?
No doubt about it.
And it's like, and then that Hoist Gracie fight at the end where he like went down with a ball, kicked in the balls or something. It was strange. And it's like, it's hard to roast him because people sometimes remember either or. Like they remember him as the biggest badass, remember him as like, what the fuck is going on? But also, and he's a strange dude. Like both him and Frank are just like kind of odd guys.
Yeah.
Well, the story about that Kimbo Slice fight was Ken was in a back and he found out that Kimbo was making, I think, $500,000 from Gary Shaw, and Ken was making like 50 grand. So he went up to Gary Shaw and he said, "Listen, if you don't pay me the same as you're paying Kimbo, I'm not going to do the fight." And Gary Shaw said, "Go fuck yourself. You're doing the fight." So. And I'm paraphrasing. This is a story I heard. I'm not stating fact here. So then Ken went back and he told his training partner to fucking knee him in the forehead and he cut his forehead. And Frank Shamrock was in the commentating booth. I think he was in there. I forgot who he was in there with. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And Frank volunteered to take the suit off and go fight Kimbo to save the show. And then Gary went back and he found Seth Petrozelli, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I don't know if that's exactly what happened. That's the story that I know.
Yeah, but then they fought again in Bellator, right? Didn't they fight again in Bellator, and it was like clearly it was an odd fight. It was like they were like it was like almost like a pro wrestling fight where they started off like putting ear to ear. And then, like, it was strange.
Dude, the minute I find out that the UFC fights are fixed, or like Connor's path was kind of like etched out from the beginning or something, somebody took a fall. The minute I find that out, I'll be so pissed. Now, what happened to Bellator and Elite XC is fine.
Just watch Houston Alexander versus Kimbo Slice and tell me that fight wasn't fixed.
I don't remember it. I remember Houston Alexander.
I know that sometimes when they have stars, they try to I'm pretty sure that they try to like the matchmaking. Like if they see like a guy like Sage Northcutt, they'll try to figure out like how do we give this guy guys that he could look good against to build him, and but that backfires a lot because even though you picked Brian Barberena because you thought he'd be the easier guy.
Yep.
Brian Barberena may have 6 losses or something, but they're all
he's still jiu-jitsu champion.
They're all split decision losses and that could have went his way. And and he's hungry, and he's looking at it like, wow, this is great, you know. So it seems like when they get a guy like O'Malley or something, or a guy that like they're like, oh shit, or like a Paige Van Zandt, I'm pretty sure they're not going to throw it to the wolves in like the beginning until it's like too late.
Look what they did with Tyson. I mean, I get a lot of torching for this, but it's factual. I mean, if you really look at Mike Tyson's resume, who did he really fight? You know, I mean, he really fought nobody. Think about the guys he fought: Francois Botha, Bone Crusher Smith over his prime, Larry Holmes over his prime. There's one guy he actually never fought, and the crazy thing about it was he was undefeated at the time. And I think Don King actually avoided him. Not that Tyson wouldn't beat him, but he was kind of a carbon copy of Tyson. He was a very hard hitter. He never fought Ray Mercer. Think about all the bums Tyson fought. Yeah. He never fought Ray Mercer in his prime when he was undefeated. He never fought some of these top guys, and when he did, he lost. The Evander Holyfields that he dodged for a long time. Like, imagine if he fought Riddick Bowe, even a guy like Andrew Galata. I mean, the guy was the guy at one time for a very small stint before he started going low below the belt. The guy was a tough guy. Like, if you really look at his resume, he avoided a lot of people. Don King didn't allow him to fight a lot of fucking people. And I think in every athlete that you have, I think all the promoters kind of do that. They kind of pave your way, but there's going to be a blip in the radar somewhere. Someone's going to have your number.
Yeah, it happens a lot more in boxing than MMA. You get like a guy like 31-0, because it seems like once that one comes on in boxing, at least, it used to be like a guy like Michael Grant. You know, once that first loss comes, it's like they think the guy's damaged goods. Where MMA, it's like you could have like 3, 4, 5 losses and still be considered a top prospect, which I think is better. But yeah, I think Bellator does that a lot. But then they'll do it. Then they won't do it. Like with a guy like Pico, they'll throw Aaron Pico on his pro debut against a guy who's like 11-4, and you're like, the fuck are you guys thinking? You know.
I was actually at that fight. Pico's debut.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know who I miss? I miss Josh Berkman, man. Remember Josh Berkman?
Yeah, of course.
From Utah.
Yeah,
he was a brawler. He was like a Justin Gaethje type fighter, man. He was a brawler.
He dated
I loved watching him fight.
Berkman?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He dated Ariana Celeste.
Wow.
It comes up again, like the Dustin Poirier wife search. It comes up Josh Berkman and then Ariana Celeste, the third search down.
Yeah, so they did. Wow. You know what fight was shady to me, dude? And it was recent. Remember when Volkan Ozdemir fought Misha Serkinov?
Yes.
How weird was that fight?
It was a quick punch.
Yeah, bro, watch that fight in slow motion over and over again. There's no way he got. I mean, I know there's a button. Everybody has a button, where you kind of shut the circuit off. But that fight still to this day, every time it comes up on like on YouTube or something, I'll just pop it on. I just can't figure. That just doesn't make. That fight didn't make sense to me. That's one fight that really raised an eyebrow for me, like in recent years.
Ozdemir is a special case, though. He did that little button punch against Jimmy Manawa as well.
Yeah, there was a guy, Leo Kuntz, who went to Korea, and they tried to fix it. The Koreans tried to fix it, and his opponent went to jail. But Leo still lost the fight. They paid the other guy to lose, and the other guy won. And
like Pulp Fiction, baby.
And they found out that, and the guy went to prison for like a year in Korea or something. And I was like, dude, you can't even like win a fixed fight. I give him such a hard time about that, but he's convinced that the guy really wasn't trying to lose, him in his corner. But I'm like, dude, he went to jail because he was paid to lose.
It's like,
that reminds me. Remember Tom Atencio, who used to be the VP of Affliction?
Yes.
So Tom and I became friends, and he made his MMA debut in Biloxi, Mississippi, at the age of 44. Remember that, Adam?
Yeah.
So I went out of respect for Tom. I was working for Fox News at the time, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's great. He's been always been good to me. And at the time, they were big sponsors of UFC before they had the Affliction promotion. So I'm like, I'm going to go show Tom some respect. I'm going to go cover his fight. And he actually won the fight, and he almost died because he was 44. But my point is, Bob Sapp fought on the same card, and Bob Sapp literally got taken down and punched by Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley punched him once, and Bob Sapp tapped out.
Yeah.
One strike. So at the press conference afterwards, there were like 3 reporters there. I was one of the 3 reporters. So I said to Bob Sapp, I go, hey, Bob, I don't understand. How do you tap out the strikes? Bobby Lashley, he took you down, and I know Bobby's a tough guy, and Bob Sapp had the balls to say, well, I got a fight in Japan for $20,000 on Saturday, and I couldn't afford to get hurt here today.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I'll be damned. I'm like, he just said it. I'm like, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I understand the actual concept of what he was talking about. As I get older, I work, even at the time I was like, I get it, but why take the fight in the first place? Because he got $5,000 to fight Bobby Lashley, and he's making $20,000 on Saturday. But why disrespect the fans and people who paid money to see you fight when you're going to do something like that?
It's crazy.
But Bob Sapp he's a work artist. We all know that.
Of course. There was a fight, Shannon Rich versus Dan Severn in Hawaii. If you want to see the most ridiculous fight ever, they were taking turns suplexing each other. Like, it was like, I was like, come on. Like, I never seen a suplex in MMA. Yeah. It was
only once. I've only seen it once. John Jones versus Stephan Bonner.
Oh, yeah. But was it a front suplex though?
No, it was back suplex.
Yeah, it was. These were front suplexes.
Oh my God.
Actually, wasn't Shannon Rich supposed to fight Bobby Gunn in a bare knuckle fight not too long ago?
Yes. Yeah, he was supposed to.
That's another one. I think that Bobby Gunn's last fight. Who did he fight in his last fight? His last sanctioned fight. That
Roy
fight
Jones
Jr. That looked like that was fixed.
Well, Roy Jones killed him.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't.
Well,
Roy Jones is old as sin. I mean, they're both old, but he didn't even throw a punch. I mean, if you watch that fight, I mean, Bobby Gunn literally did not throw a punch.
Yeah, that was kind of like Bobby Gunn never should have took that fight. I understand why he did, but he was becoming like the bare knuckle man. Like, people were like, Bobby Gunn. And then when he just got obliterated by Roy Jones, I feel like his stock went down a little bit in bare knuckle.
Well, yeah, he's undefeated in bare knuckle. He's never lost a bare knuckle match.
Yeah, but he's like 120-0. But he said some of his fights were like in hotel rooms and stuff.
Like Frank Dukes, man.
You know a crazy thing? A crazy thing about him, he had this whole philosophy whenever he fought, because I got real into the bare knuckle scene for a while, like researching some of these older guys and stuff. And, what he used to do is he had this whole like setup when he would go and fight in these garages and stuff, where he always wore jeans and he always wore obviously a black or white tank top underneath with a shirt. So if the cops or anyone came to break it up, it didn't look like he was fighting. It looked like he was just there. He had a pair of jeans on. So if you watch all his bare knuckle fights, he always had jeans on.
I do that with comedy too.
Mad Lab. You ever hear of Paul Vizio out of Jersey City?
Paul
Kung
Vizio?
Fu instructor. Yeah.
The what?
Paul Vizio out of Jersey City. He was a Kung Fu instructor, very, very prominent, very respected guy, but he was a bare knuckle fighter as well. Those guys were badass people, man. His hands were like the size of my head. And he was a little guy. He was smaller than me, and I'm only 5'6". He was like 5'4", and he was he looked like Vito Antuofermo, except he was a Kung Fu version of Vito Antuofermo.
Well, it's completely different.
Anyhow.
I mean, if you look at even the target spaces on the face in bare knuckle, you have a much smaller target. You got to turn your punches a different way. Like, it really is a totally different way of fighting. Like, you're just not throwing a punch like you're throwing if you're doing traditional boxing. Like, your target zones everywhere are completely different.
Hey, Ike, we never followed up with Ike Valley Flag. We had Ike Valley Flag. You know him, Adam, right?
I love that guy.
I love that guy too. We had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was getting ready to do a bare knuckle fight. I'm not sure if that fight got canceled for Corona.
It was supposed to be, if I remember correctly, this past weekend, April 11th. Probably canceled, right?
Yeah, it probably
Dude,
canceled.
I think Chael Sonnen's event, the Submission Underground, that's the only thing that went on besides the WWE. And I was like, yo, Chael's
Which makes
a cowboy.
no sense, because that's good. It makes no sense because it's grappling. You can get more Corona grappling with somebody than you can boxing with somebody.
All right, Straka, me and you, we're going to open up bare knuckle MMA.
All right.
Well, dude, I appreciate Rogan. And Adam, you should be on Rogan sometime soon, man. He talks you up all the time, mentions your wrestling and your comedy. But I appreciate.
It never gets back to you, and I DM him.
Is he
like Dustin Poirier?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Adam? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you, Mad Lab and Ike. When I was in LA, Adam had these flyers all around, right, for his comedy show. and also on his Twitter. And there's always 3 hot chicks and Adam, and he's like, "Oh, come to the show at the Laugh Factory," and these 3 beautiful women, and I'm like, "Is this a comedy show or is this Adam Hunter's Match.com?"
Close her ears,
like-
earmuffs, Adam,
There would
earmuffs.
be like 15 comics on the show. I just picked those 3 for the flyer. You know, like they would be like, and then they would come dressed up in like scarves and like winter coats, and people would be like annoyed, like that's not the girl from the fly. They're like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "That's like Eskimos." People are angry. It's like whatever.
There was one woman that I was like, this chick is so hot, and I think I tweeted you. I'm like, "Can I meet this girl?" And she tweeted back, "Absolutely."
Yeah, Thomas are cool like that. It was Andrea. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
like,
Andrea. Yeah.
the hottest. And she's
Yeah,
very
she's-
hot, girl. But you know, the comics like.
Well,
they're like,
she's not the mother of Violet, obviously.
No. She's no. Mother of Violet's working now.
God
So-
bless her. Is she a nurse?
No, she's working next in the room over there.
Oh.
Hey, where's the meatloaf?
No, but it's like, I mean, because I'm like, oh, the podcast, I'll give her a bottle. And then I hear, don't give her a bottle now. I'm just like, oh God. I'm being scolded while she works.
I know.
Yeah,
It never fails,
dude, you
man.
went from a brick wall to daddy daycare.
It's crazy. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I can't wait to do the road so I can relax again and like not actually
Dude,
work.
that's one of Segura, how he starts. He goes, "My wife's back home," and he goes, "Honey, I miss you." And then he's like, "I just talked to her 5 minutes ago." He's like, "I don't miss her. I'm talking to you guys."
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. He's like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to. It was a tough day today. I woke up at 2. And, I had to do radio for 6 minutes. And then,
Oh.
All right, well, we'll let you go because obviously Violet it's nap time for
No,
Violet.
Mike, your voice put her to sleep.
And Mad Lab is obviously he's in the kitchen.
Mike, I've been the biggest fan of yours since watching you on MSG and Fighting Words, Mike Straka. You
Oh,
have
thanks,
you
man.
had the only fighting show out there. It was the only show, and it was awesome. So this
Man, I
It seems
appreciate
like
that
it
a lot.
hurts you to pay a compliment to Mike. I get you, Adam. It's okay.
no, I'm serious, man. Like Mike Straka's a legend.
He is, man. He
So-
is.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on, man, and keep doing what you do because we all love it, obviously.
I appreciate that. Take care, guys.
Later.